All right, well today we're going to be starting on the first of a series of upgrades to our new car hauler bus setup. This is an Eagle bus that's been converted into half RV, half garage. So we've got a living area in the front, we've got a garage in the back. We were able to put the car inside the bus along with our wheels, tires, spare parts, tools, all the other things we need to take with us on a race weekend. So that way we do not have to bring a trailer with us. It is an all-in-one unit, everything self-contained in the bus. It's a really neat setup, and as it is, it works. We took it to its first event a few days ago. Everything worked well, but as with cars, as with projects, as with anything, there's always room for improvement, and we've got a long list of things we want to do to make this thing cooler, better, more efficient, all of the above. So we're going to start with the garage area. So this is obviously where we load the car in, and as it is, it works, but there's plenty of ways we can improve this. So the first thing we're going to tackle is how we strap the car down. So currently we have these 4 rings to strap the car down. We have these pretty nice hook straps, and this method works. It does the job just fine, but they tend to come loose. In my experience, open trailer, enclosed trailer, the bus, they all like to work themselves loose. You've got to retighten them constantly. So we're going to change that. We're going to be installing front to back ETrack. Now what this is going to allow us to do is strap over the tire. So one, it keeps from having to load the car up and pull down against the suspension, but also in my experience using that kind of strap style, that strapping method, the car will not come loose. The straps do not come loose. It's a much more secure way of doing it. So that's what we're gonna tackle first. I need to get some measurements to make sure we get it nice and centered in the wheels, and it fits kind of a range of cars, which is gonna be a little tricky, but we're gonna do our best to make a good compromise on where to mount them and then get to it. So I'm gonna quit jibber jabbering, get to work. All right, so my Corvette here is the car that we take the most with us. So this is the most important. It needs to be accurate. I mean, I already know it should be about 80, almost 81 inches at its max. Let's see what our narrowest is, 62 inches. So I think ideal for this car would be somewhere around 71 inches, but I want to make sure we can set it up to hopefully fit a variety of cars, not just the Vet, because this thing is exceptionally wide. I measured all of my cars since this one is a tight fit, and this thing is a good 3-4 inches wider than the next widest car. So it's big, it's wide. Hopefully we can make something work. We're going to try to measure our narrowest car and see if we can find a good happy medium. Now I had ETrack in my old trailer that I got rid of to get the bus, and it was pretty much right on the edge of the tires of the Vet, and it still worked. So if we can just keep this on the outside edge of, oh no, that's not even close. We've got 65 inches or so, outside to outside, 66. So the outside track width on the Miata there is roughly equivalent to the inside on this. This is 62 inches. I think 70 inches on the center, 68 to 70 should be all right. So once we had our measurement, it was time to get the ETrack in place and mount it. As I said, this is really important. We want to make sure this works with a variety of cars, but the Vet is going to be in here probably 80 to 90% of the time, so it's most important that it works well and efficiently with it. So we got our measurements, went ahead and measured everything and got the first pieces screwed in. We then went ahead and lifted this center section. We're able to get under here. We have storage and we have access to all the components that are underneath the floor. We wanted to make sure that we weren't going to run a screw into anything. If you're ever screwing into something, make sure you check. So once we were done with that, we went ahead and cut these to length. They just needed to be cut down a tiny bit shorter to end where we needed them to end so that we had access still to this removable panel. And then it was time to bring them back in and screw in these second sections and get them all secured. So we swept up the floor. Once this ETrack goes down, if there is any dirt under it, it is very hard to get it out. That is one of the downsides to using this ETrack, is you track stuff in with the tires and then it just cakes up inside the ETrack slots, and then it is a pain to clean, and then the ETrack brackets that you put in don't want to go in, and it can be a hassle, but I definitely think it's worth it. Check it once the car is in here. All right, we got our first batch of ETrack in. So we found a good compromise on width that'll fit the Vet nicely. but should also fit pretty much everything but the Miata, maybe even the Miata. So we're not gonna go gung-ho and put all our screws in because rabbit hole, we fell down the rabbit hole. Yeah, we're looking at how nice the brand new gloss black ETrack looks and realized that we should repaint the floor. So for now, we've got them marked out, we got them laid out. Let me show you how these work. All right, so imagine here is the tire. Josue is the tire. So you put the first one in, the second one, that goes over the tire. And then put your strap in, latch it in. So then you're pulling straight down on the tire because this is your point and that's your point. So instead of pulling back on the tire, in and out, tweaking the suspension and putting load on it, you're literally just holding the tire down. So I really like this, and it's a much better way to strap stuff. It should work well for us.
Dude, those are gonna look real good with the gloss black and the red strands.
You know me, I had to get the red. I gotta go get the paint in the morning. So in the meantime, we're gonna move on to one of the next biggest upgrade departments, lighting. I have a bunch of lights in here. That's the nice thing about working on a bus is you can put the parts for the bus in the bus, keep them out of your way. But we got a bunch of lights to put on. We're gonna start with the rear door area. There's 4 different lights back there and they're not the best. So we went ahead and got the back open up so we could start taking this apart and replacing these lights. Hopefully this is simple and we can just kind of replace one with the other, but we are replacing old halogens that are very different than the LEDs they're getting replaced with. So we may get lucky, we may not. We may be able to use the old brackets, we may be able to just bolt in our new brackets, or we may have to get creative. But one way or another, we're gonna make this work so we have all the light. So on the bus here, we have some 12-volt lights, which are those there that point kind of in and at the ramp. And then these 120-volt lights, which point out. So between the two of them on each side, it's a lot of light back here at night. So we're replacing the old standard halogen type deals. We've got these LED for the 12 volts and then these big ones for the 120 volt. So this should be a lot of light. I'm really excited to see what this looks like at night. Did that bracket bolt up?
Yes.
Oh, nice. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
So once we knew that these were mostly going to fit, one bracket just bolted right up. The other one we had to make a kind of new mount for, but it mostly worked. The 120 volt ones were a little bit trickier, but once we had all that squared away, we started working on getting them installed. It's a little bit of a tedious process. We got to unhook the wiring and unhook the brackets and add new brackets, but Josue was plugging away at getting those removed and swapped out, and while he was doing that, I was getting the wiring ready on the new lights. So I wanted to have these fully squared away so that all he had to do was crimp it on the bus side and then basically heat it up with the heat gun and shrink the heat shrink and then wrap it in tape. Just minimize the work you got to do on the ladder. Try to get most of that stuff done on the ground so you don't have to do it up on the ladder. So while he was finishing up that, getting those lights installed and wired in, I started working on more lighting but on the interior. Oh wow, that's way brighter. Sweet. So these interior lights are all 12 volts and we had a couple that were broken. The lens was broken. It's an interesting bulb and I managed to find the right replacement. So I wanted to get these swapped out. Not only are the LEDs going to be brighter, but the standard ones put off a lot of heat. So as we started taking these apart and putting new ones in, we noticed that not only were some of the glass lenses missing, but some of the buckets were loose, and it's a bit of a rabbit hole of a project, but luckily we were able to get in there and tighten everything up, tighten the buckets back up, get the bulb swapped out with LEDs, put it all back together, and see the end result. Now it's brighter though, for sure.
You got it down.
Sick. All right, well now it's time to check on your lights.
Yep. All right, 12 first. Those work. Wow, that's super bright though. That is bright. Wow. That's the 120?
That's the 120.
So the simple one.
Yeah, funny enough. I mean, we know they work. All right, well, we figured it out. It's backwards, which doesn't make sense because up there we've got white and black wires. And on these old lamps, the white goes to the red and the black goes to the black. So that's how Josue wired them, but that ain't it. Take a step back, show you just the 120 volts. Whew, lighten up the night. All right, you ready?
Send it.
Here, you do the honors. You do the honors.
All right, let's do it.
Do it, do it, do it, do it. Boom! Hey! Dude, all the light. All of the lights.
That's nice. It's bright.
Right, dude? It literally lights up the Look at the yard. Look at the trees. That is not normally, this is normally pitch black over there. Wow, that's impressive, homie. So much light. Oh my gosh, that is so much light. Give you a comparison. If you come over here to the dark side, literally. Whoa, dude, it's really impressive when you come over here. Look at that. We're gonna light up the whole pits at the track, and that's just the rear lights.
Dang, that is pretty. That's bright.
Right?
Nice. And I felt it up there, and it's not hot. Like, you know.
No,
what I'm saying?
yeah, like the other ones, the old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Sick. All right. Well, it's obviously dark, so we'll pick this back up in the AM. All right. Well, in here we still have 2 of these lights to replace that are over the slide out here, but you have to put the slide out to get to them, and I don't want to do that without Josue just because it kind of helps to have someone help you work it back in so it doesn't get bound up. So we're going to start working on really what's the most important lighting upgrades that we need to do, and that is our instrument panel here. So not a lot of these work. Our air one works, which is important. Our coolant temp works. Our speed works, but the speed doesn't work. The backlight works, speed doesn't work. Fuel gauge works, but the rest of these don't. So our volts don't work. Our transmission temp doesn't work. The oil pressure might actually not work. I can't recall. So I want to fix that. That is a big thing, you know, at night. He left this little light in here for me. I'd like to be able to see these all well, so I like to monitor my gauges when I'm driving. Spot a problem early. So I want to work on that. We also are going to add some ambient lights. You know, like a lot of newer vehicles, they have ambient lights in the pockets and down in the floors. I'd like to do that in here because it gets pretty dark in here when you're cruising down the road at night. So also we need to determine exactly what size the speedo is so we can try to get a GPS version to replace it. So yeah, we're gonna start trying to take this panel apart. Hopefully it's not too complicated, so we'll find out. First, we got this battery controller thing, but I guess it is inactive. There's a different setup on the bus now for this. Oh my goodness. Who tightened this? Why is this so tight? That one's not. Success. That one doesn't even have a bulb. That one doesn't even have a bulb. There we go. Alright, we got this taken apart enough to determine which bulbs we have. We have 3 different types of bulbs that we're going to need to try to find. Obviously, we want to convert this all to LED, all to the same color. That's going to be really nice. Like I said, I'm excited. I mean, at least it seems like everything's there. I found the socket for this one where the socket was missing. It works with that bulb that I put in there. So all that's good. One thing you might notice though, is that all of this wiring is the same color. And you would think that someone had to have redone this at some point. Something's wrong there. But it's actually something I came across in my research, that this year Eagle, all of the wiring was the same color. Interesting, right? But I learned something else. That's not necessarily a good thing to learn, but it is what it is. But I learned a much cooler thing. So when I was doing some research after I got the bus, of course I did it after, probably should have done it before, but hey, it may have scared me off. I did find that there was a lot of talk about frame rusting. It's common on older buses in general for the frames to rust. The frame is literally just square tube, braced diagonally. You know, it's not like a car frame where it's formed and molded. So it'd be pretty simple to fix, but still it's scary, right? It's common on older buses, especially these Eagles, right? So great. But as I was looking more, I found that a specific year range most likely had a Core 10 steel frame, which I guess is a lower carbon content, way less prone to rust. It'll actually flash rust from what I understand, and then that'll be the protective layer. So I was like, okay, well this one falls into this year range, but how do I know? So I looked some more, and from what I could find, it seems like for sure the 1989 Eagle Model 20s that were delivered to the New Jersey Transit Service had the Corten steel frames. They're the only ones for sure had it, supposedly. This is all, doing my research. So I know for sure, this is a 1989 Eagle Model 20, so we're close. We got 3 out of the 4 things, right? So how do I know, though, if it's the New Jersey Transit bus? That was kind of the unanswered question. So I started looking, and what do you know? There's a registry that has every single Eagle made from 88 to 89. So I started scrolling through this thing, and lo and behold, I find the VIN number for this bus. It was made in 89, and it was ordered by the New Jersey Transit Service. So all of that checks out. Now, I still don't want to say for sure that it has the better steel frame, but it would be really cool if it does. And it would make more sense as to why you would pick this bus as your starting point if you wanted specifically an Eagle bus to start with. So anyway, cool little tidbit. I'm gonna quit jibber jabber and I'm gonna try to see if I can find these LEDs. I imagine these 3 will cover us for the rest of this. I do need to measure this. I don't want to take this all apart at the same time. We're gonna get lost if we do it that way. So let me see if I can find these bulbs and get some ordered, and then we'll take some more stuff apart. All right. Oh, sorry. So I managed to find all of the bulbs. I got those ordered. Probably gonna be a few days before they get here. So we do have more lights to do, but those are outside, not in the AC. So while we wait for it to cool down a little bit, we're gonna shift gears and start working on painting the floor. So I already went ahead and taped this area off. So we really just need to tape the perimeter, pull the ETrack up, and then we're gonna have to open the door, but we're gonna do as much as we can in the AC first. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's get to taping. So the nice thing about painting something like this is it doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna get scuffed up and it's gonna get dented and dinged and it's gonna get stuff spilled on it. We're gonna try to avoid all of those things, but it's gonna happen. And we know that, but we always try to do the best job we can. So we're trying to tape off all of the diamond plate, all of the stuff that doesn't need to get painted, the D-rings, all of that, and sweep up the floor nicely. I mean, the sand that's already on the floor would probably add a little bit of added grip once the paint goes over it. But we're trying to do a nice thorough job here to make sure this paint job that we're about to do is going to last us a long time, because as much as I enjoy the satisfaction of painting, it's kind of a messy process, kind of a smelly process. You got to have good ventilation and it can be a little challenging. All right, well, we got to open this thing up to let the fumes out, which is unfortunate because we have AC in there. But on our to-do list is we need to determine the part number for all these filters, because we want to do a full service on this thing. All new filters, fluids, and everything. The engine, which, how many gallons?
11, I believe.
11 gallons? That's 44 quarts. Anyway, engine, transmission, generator. All new, everything. I would like to pop this filter open at some point, not right now.
The actual intake filter.
Yeah.
See what that looks like. Fuel filter.
BF 5800. BF 1259. Alright, we figured out all of our engine filters. So now we need to figure out the generator filter. I think it's a 10, 11, 13, 12. So we know for sure this thing needs an air filter, and it's probably due for a service change. Okay, you ready? FF887, and then oil filter is LF385. So once we had our parts list down of consumables and maintenance items so that we could get all of that stuff ordered and make sure we have time to do it before our next big trip, it was time to get to work on the painting, get the doors opened up, get everything cleaned out one more time, and get ready to start painting. So we've got everything taped. We got everything swept. It's time. It's the moment of truth. Now, this is going to be very, very rewarding. I'm excited for it. This paint works really, really well. I've said this before. I've used this stuff for my open trailer a couple of times now, and it just covers extremely well. So Josue was working on kind of the fine details, the edges with the brush, getting in the cracks and crevices, getting all around the edges, and I was working on the main coverage with the roller, which, as you can see, goes super, super quick. This stuff stuff lays down so thick. I mean, you could probably do a second coat, but I don't even really know if it's necessary because one coat gets just a nice thick coverage. It gets down in all the little odds and ends. The texture fills that in nice. I can't say enough good things about this paint. I really enjoy working with it. And boy, what a difference does a nice coat of shiny gloss black paint make. I mean, this thing looks brand new inside now. Well, the hurricane is coming. We picked a great day to do this. I'm trying to keep the leaves from blowing into the back of this thing, but it's looking good though. Came out really nice. Josue likes it too. All right, I'm gonna try to get on the roof and put some of this sealant tape down.
I don't know about this, buddy.
I guess just give me the tape.
Can you just try to get what you can down there for now?
I'm just gonna try to do the hatch real quick. All right, well, we've been on the struggle bus, literally, trying to get this thing done. So we started working on it. I got sick, and then I finally got better, started getting back in the swing of things. So Sway was able to come back by, and then the weather turned on us. So midway through trying to reseal the roof, which is what I was working on, the weather came in. We had a hurricane coming, but it did end up going north of us. But we had to wrap everything up, close everything up in the pouring rain, and then get it moved from its spot here because there's a bunch of trees over it, and get it moved over here. But the hurricane did miss us, so now we're gonna open everything back up and get back to it. Josue's doing it this time, so he knows the order of operations. Yeah, it's like if you get the right angle, it's easy. Oh. Yeah, there you go, something like that.
All right.
Flip yours over. All right, send us up, Terry. Right? It's like right when you start to run out of reach. You're supposed to do that as you were delatching. Slacker.
I'm learning. Got it dirty.
I know. Yeah, the weather started coming in on us yesterday and got leaves in the paint, but overall, I mean, for how bad the weather turned on us, it didn't do too much damage. Peeling the tape at the end of a paint project is always one of the most satisfying things, and I'm trying so hard not to get this dirty. It's still tacky, even though it's had a good bit of time to dry, but we're doing what we gotta do. We need to get this tape pulled off so we can see the finished product. We're a little bit antsy, so once we got that done, it was time to move on to another big project, replacing our winch cable with a synthetic rope, except I ordered the wrong size. It's too big. All right, well, our winch rope swap was a bust. I ordered the wrong size. I ordered 3/8. I thought it was the smallest they had, so it was the right one, but it wasn't. We need 1/4 inch, but that's okay. So I've gone ahead and ordered the one we need. See, these rollers are pretty beat, so we're gonna address this. This is something that bothers me, and every time we roll this door up, I get worried that the winch line's gonna get caught and it's not gonna want to open, and that would be a nightmare at the track. So that and that one, the one winch in the car, and it's not as critical. We could always drive the car in if we had to, but we do still need to put the ETrack in, put it back in, and then put the rest of the screws in it, but I'm trying not to get any more footprints on the floor, so we're moving on. So we're whipping out the ladder. I'm gonna go back on the roof and do what I was trying to do yesterday before the rain came down like crazy. We're gonna reseal the joints with this sealant tape. So specifically this hatch in here, we opened it at the event and realized that it was taped shut. So we want to retape that, but while we're up there, might as well retape some of them other things. Plus, there's something I want to show you up here that is very strange, and maybe you will know what it's for. This thing's still wet. All right, so as you can see, this is like a wind speed sensor. I don't know what on earth it would be used for. So what we're working on is I want to reseal these. They're all sealed, but I want to tape them, and then the hatch itself. You can see where I started to do it, and then the rain started coming down on me. I couldn't finish it. So the day before when I was up here, the goal was to use this tar sealing tape to tape the hatch itself shut, and I tried to do it in a rush, but man, the weather turned in a hurry. It went from storming to raining and lightning and all of that within the matter of a minute or two. So we're back up here now. We're gonna get this sealed up before it rains again. I don't think it doesn't seem like it's been a problem. I don't think we've had any water getting in, but better safe than sorry. So we're using this HVAC tape, this aluminum foil tape basically, to tape the hatch itself shut. It already should seal on its own. It's kind of an extra precaution. And then we're using the RV roof tar tape to tape around the hatch, which also is already sealed with this tar sealant stuff. But, you know, better safe than sorry. The more protection from water getting into this thing that we can have, the better. Water it ruins things. So we decided to go ahead and clean up all the other joints, start from the front and work our way back and tape as much of this as we could. So the front cap has basically a ridge. So there's two spots where water could get in, and then each other seam we want to get a good piece of tape across. Now we're not going all the way down because then you're going to see the tape line from the side, and we really only need it on the flat portion where water could collect and sit and work its way in. If it's just raining and streaming down by it, probably not an issue.
All right, well, we ran out. I was going to order more, but I wasn't sure how well this stuff would work, and I wanted to kind of see it in person before buying more. But we've got the ridge at the top sealed on both sides, so it took two pieces. Josue's working on that one, and then obviously where we started with our hatch here. So I'm gonna order some more. It's pretty easy. Like I said, they had the roof resealed. This is the living quarters too. So at least we got to the end of the living quarters. This is where the garage starts. It starts somewhere about here. So at least the living quarters is all sealed now for sure, double sealed. I mean, it was already sealed, but you know, leaks, man, leaks will tear stuff up so quick. So yeah, I need to get some more just for the garage portion, which again, isn't a huge deal, but why not? Might as well keep it all sealed, and then we'll be good. We'll probably also go ahead and go around that front AC, this vent here, just pretty much everything else that was sealed with the goop. But the stuff lays down nice, very tar-like. We do want to take that satellite dome off the front, so then we'll have to seal that up. Yeah. I'd like to get rid of that stupid thing. But yeah, so anyway, I'm jibber jabbering. Pretty much done up here. That's all we have material for, so time to actually start working on the headlights.
So something that became blatantly apparent on the drive home that needed to be resolved was the headlight situation. I had to have the headlights on, the fog lights on, and I still could not see that well. Could not see great. And that's something I don't like, you know. Obviously, you want to be able to see well at night. We do a lot of night driving because we do these long shot trips in one shot. And, you know, I kind of prefer driving at night just because there's less traffic, it's less chaotic. You can just kind of set the cruise control and chill. So one thing we really wanted to do in the lighting department was replace the headlights and go ahead and replace the fog lights. I decided to use the same brand Hella fog lights just because they already had the mount there and they worked fine, but the ones that we had were cracked and they got water in them and they were old and beat up. It was time for a replacement. And then for the headlights, we're switching from these standard halogens to some LEDs. We're going to obviously have to make sure that we get these aimed correctly. We don't want to blind anybody, but we want to make sure we have a nice, crisp, clean light and we can see well at night, not get ourselves into any trouble.
All right, check out our new headlights. I mean, first off, they look way better. A little on the import side, but these are the best ones I could find for the money, for sure, as far as, you know, nice projector sealed beams. They fit. They worked. Got them wired up. A little bit of tinkering. The wiring was a little strange, but we got it. And our new fog lights, which looks sick once we put the covers on them, but I want to go turn the lights on and come back out. Or actually, can you go turn the lights on? All right, that's low. Now hit the highs. Poof. And then the fog. Top left, green switch. There you go. Boom. Dude, it looks so good. It's so clean looking comparatively. Oh, that looks good, man. I'm pumped. We're going to be able to see everything at night. We'll have to, we adjusted them, but we'll have to adjust them again once we have some clear room ahead of this thing. But I mean, our cutoff up close is pretty low, which is important. Go ahead and kick the high beams off. Oh, yeah. But yeah. That looks good. I'm stoked. What a satisfying little project. All right, we're good.
So once we were done with the headlights, a project that we really wanted to wrap up so we could check it off the checklist, call it done and dusted, was these dang ETracks. We have just been down the rabbit hole with these things. We went to install them, took them back out so we could paint the floor, and then as we're putting them back in, we realized we're going to make a mess on the floor if we don't wait a little bit longer. To be continued.
I see where you're getting at, but I see now the metal shaving.
Yeah, because they're gonna get stuck in the paint.
Yeah. We're gonna do ourselves a disservice.
Yeah. We're just gonna end up with a bunch of metal shavings stuck in the paint that we're not gonna be able to get out.
We're gonna ruin it right at the end.
Right. All right. Well, we gotta wait to finalize the ETrack because the metal shavings you get when you self-tapper are getting into the paint, which is still a little bit sticky, but it's in there. It should work well. We do have a whole nother track plus a little bit of extras. We might need to add some to this panel, but leave it removable so this panel is still removable. But we'd like to add, some sporadically, specifically one in the middle here to strap the electric scooter down behind the car. That is definitely one thing we will need. But ETrack is in, floor is painted. Let's take a good look with the, oh man, that is satisfying. It looks way better in here. Comparatively, super glossy. That looks really good. I'm stoked. Satisfying project. A little bit of a rabbit hole, but here we are. Still got some lighting work to do. We have this switch, which is there and down there, which would be nice if I bought some 12-volt lights to go in here. Just for these scenarios. Right now, we could have those 12-volt lights on and not have to run the generator. So I'd like to fix that. I would also like to fix these. These are retractable lights where you press the button and they open up out and then turn on, and they're not working, so we need to diagnose that, see if we can't determine what's going on there to get those working, because we definitely could use some exterior light on the side. We've still got the rears, which work really well now. But yeah, I would have liked to have got all the lighting upgrades that I wanted to get done, but that's kind of how it is sometimes. We're still waiting on the instrument cluster lights. They won't be here for a few days. But then we can take the rest of that apart, get all those lights swapped out. I still want to add some ambient lighting in there. There's a lot. But hey, we made some good progress getting this thing ready. We're hoping to do our first trip here in a couple weeks with this thing, our first long trip. So we got to go through it top to back. While it's on the concrete, we're going to get under it and do all the grease fittings, maybe even get it jacked up and pull some of the wheels off and check the brakes. We need to do oil change, transmission fluid change, generator service. We've still got a good bit of work to do. Again, it works as is. It's not like we couldn't take it to an event like we just did, but we're trying to cover our bases and give ourselves the best chance at success. So that being said, the cicadas are loud. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, but let me know what you guys think of the bus upgrades so far and what you would like to see next time. We're cruising right along though. I'm really enjoying this thing. It is a lot of fun. So that being said, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I sure hope I'll get to see you next time. Goodbye. Done.